Welcome to Living the Bible, where we examine the Bible and church history to guide our everyday living. I'm Jason Conrad. In today's episode, we're going to ask a foundational question. Can we trust that the letters of Paul we read today are the same ones he wrote in the first century? We're focusing on the 7 undisputed letters of Paul, that is Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Philippians, 1st Thessalonians, and Philemon. These are the writings that both secular and Christian scholars agree were truly written by Paul. So the question is, are the words we read today the same words that he wrote 2,000 years ago? Let's look at the manuscripts that we actually have. So before the invention of the printing press in the 1400s, texts were copied by hand. So over centuries, that led to many textual variants, but for the 7 undisputed letters of Paul, we have thousands of manuscripts from across the ancient world that help us reconstruct what he wrote. Again, I'm only referring to the 7 letters of Paul, not the other parts of the New Testament like the Gospels or letters from Peter or John or Revelation, just the 7 letters of Paul. So we have about 900 Greek manuscripts. We have about 4,000 Latin manuscripts, about 300 Coptic, 300 Syriac, and then about 500 combination of all these other various languages as well. So a conservative total for all manuscript evidence we have of just the 7 letters of Paul is about 6,000 total manuscripts to work with. Now let's double click and zero in on some of the most significant manuscripts we have. And the most important is called Papyrus 46 or P46. It's dated to the year 200 AD, and it contains 86 leaves out of an estimated 104 leaves that were probably in the original copy. It includes 6 of the 7 undisputed letters of Paul. It has the book of Romans from chapter 5, verse 17, all the way through the end. It's got 1 Corinthians from chapter 1 all the way through chapter 15. It's just missing chapter 16. It's got 2 Corinthians from chapter 1 all the way through chapter 9, verse 6. The remainder of that book through chapter 13 is missing. It fully preserves Galatians, Philippians, and 1 Thessalonians. They're in complete good condition, and then it's missing the small letter of Philemon. This shows that by the year 200, Paul's letters weren't just being copied and distributed, they were also being distributed like a collection together. Very interestingly, 6 out of the 7 of his undisputed letters are found in this early document from the year 200. Between the year 200 and 325, we have a few more significant manuscripts, fragments, that help show how they continue to be copied from different places. So Papyrus 30 contains parts of 1 Thessalonians. Papyrus 65 contains other parts of 1 Thessalonians. Papyrus 87 has portions of the letter to Philemon. All of these date from the early to mid 200s. And after them come the big ones. So we got Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus from around 325 to 350. Each one of them are our most substantial manuscripts of the entirety of the New Testament. They, of course, include all of Paul's 7 undisputed letters as well. There's also early translations into other languages prior to the year 300. So you've got Latin fragments from the year 250, you've got Coptic from about the year 300, and then you've got citations in Syriac as well that are early on in that period too. Now, how do these manuscripts agree? So there's variance between them. In fact, the estimated total number of variants between just these manuscripts and fragments of Paul's 7 letters is about 8,000 variants. I like this quote from Eldon Epp, the textual critic. He said, "Textual variation is an inevitable consequence of handwritten transmission, but most differences are minor and easily explained." I'm going to give you examples from Paul's 7 letters. So here's a couple examples that are considered insignificant. So this is from Romans chapter 12, verse 11. In some manuscripts, it says, serve the Lord. In others, it says, serve the Spirit. So the message is the same. It's pretty insignificant whether it's truly the Lord or the Spirit. Galatians chapter 1, verse 3. Some manuscripts say, grace to you and peace from God our Father. Others say, grace to you and peace from God the Father. It's a simple variance of having the word our in there or not. Again, it doesn't make any real impact at all to Christian thinking. Bart Ehrman, an atheist and agnostic scholar, talking about these variants, he says, quote, most of the textual changes in our manuscripts are completely insignificant. If we were to pick 5 significant variants, these would be the 5, and you be the judge whether these are really significant or not. So the first one comes from Romans chapter 8, verse 1. The shorter reading found in Papyrus 46, our earliest manuscript, says, there is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. And then other later manuscripts add this phrase to the end of it, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. That's an exact replica of what takes place a little farther down in verse 4 of chapter 8. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 7. One reading says, we were gentle among you. It's the Greek word apioi. And then other manuscripts say, we were like little children among you, which is the Greek word napioi. It's the difference of one Greek letter, apioi versus napioi. Again, doesn't change the meaning of what's being said there in 1 Thessalonians. It's really insignificant overall. Galatians chapter 2 and verse 12, original manuscripts, the oldest manuscripts, before certain men came from James, Peter used to eat with Gentiles. And then other manuscripts omit the little phrase from James. Again, you be the judge. Is that significant or not for the Christian faith? Another example, 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 34 and 35. So in many manuscripts, it says, let your women keep silent in the churches. But then in other manuscripts, that phrase is either taken out and put into the margin, or it has special marks around it that the scribes made note that this is probably not something original from Paul. Bart Ehrman, when he talks about this, he says, quote, the displacement of these verses in several manuscripts suggests that some scribes questioned their originality. Romans chapter 5, verse 1. Some manuscript says, we have peace with God. It's the Greek word ekomen. Other manuscripts have, let us have peace with God. It's the Greek word ekomen. Again, just one change, one Greek letter change, and it goes from being a fact, we have peace with God, to a subjunctive, let us have peace with God, exhorting us to have peace with God. Just the one single letter makes the difference. But again, you can be the judge. Those are the most significant, if they are significant at all, variants found in Paul's 7 undisputed letters. Like these quotes again from Ehrman, the 7 undisputed Pauline letters are universally accepted by critical scholars, and the textual tradition is strong. And from Eldon Epp, the massive number of manuscripts gives us confidence in recovering a reliable text. So in conclusion, Paul's 7 undisputed letters were written in the 50s, and by 200 AD, we get Papyrus 46, which contains 6 out of the 7 undisputed letters. And between then and 325, we get other manuscripts and other translations in other languages helping to confirm the accuracy leading up to the significant Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus. The result should give you confidence that the letters that we have are substantially identical to what he wrote. But there's an additional question here. If Paul wrote these between the year 50 and 60 and our earliest manuscript is in the year 200, that's about a 150-year gap. How can we be confident that they were copied and that they were consistently transmitted by Christians during that time period as well? In our next episode, that's exactly what we're going to get into, is that 150-year gap from Paul's originals to our first substantial manuscript in the year 200.